Not only am I a producer and a musician and a songwriter, but I'm also a film major. And while my focus is specifically on screenwriting, my goal moving forward is to try and find new and creative ways for me to combine all of my skill sets. And what better way to do that than to try and score some of the TV shows and movies you guys. Not only am I a producer and a musician and a songwriter, but I'm also a film major. And while my focus is specifically on screenwriting, my goal moving forward is to try and find new and creative ways for me to combine all of my skill sets. And what better way to do that than to try and score some of the TV shows and movies you guys sent. In today's video, I chose
Fantastic Planet next.
the scene that I chose from the movie is this meditation scene where all these aliens kind of sit together and just meditate. Their bodies melt and turn into these crazy shapes and stuff. But all the while, there's this like little baby kid watching. And he's kind of freaked the fuck out. What I wanted to evoke in this scene was a sense of like meditative peace. You know, if you just look at it without the music, you know, you have this strange little arm kind of coming down. These three of them, they're wiggling around, they're whipping, they got these little tails, and then they touch the alien guys, and it kind of begins the process of this whole meditation ritual thing. So their bodies start to change colors, their eyes start to close, and then their bodies start to melt, and the arms are still touching here and there. Almost, I'm thinking like maybe it's just to like kind of maintain the meditation. But and you have every so often the frames cutting back to the little kid in the corner being like, what the hell is going on? And their bodies start to morph in these crazy shapes. The kid is like, oh my God. Their bodies start to twist and contort while their faces are very, very calm. And now we have the kid kind of backing out of the frame. And now it almost looks like their bodies are kind of like revealing kind of what was underneath the whole time. And then the other side character, alien, picks up the little boy, and then they wake up and they're like, oh shit, you weren't supposed to be here. All of those notes that I just talked through before, those are the things I need to keep in mind. Because it's a meditation scene, I thought I would begin with like a drone sound effect. And I chose that sound effect in particular because I feel like the scene should kind of get you almost in like a trance kind of state. And having a sound that's sustained definitely lends itself to the kind of trance feeling that I'm trying to evoke. This particular sound that I chose also kind of felt very otherworldly, very alien. It's kind of spooky too, which was also the other point of focus. I didn't want to get too deep into this beautiful kind of soundscape. I also wanted it to partially like evoke the feeling of this little kid on the side being very confused and kind of scared. Next, we have this sound effect here. You'll notice that these three arms on the side, they come and they touch the aliens on their chests. So I felt that it would be a good idea to kind of use that sound effect as kind of like our visual markers. Because while there's music underneath, part of this for me was also, you know, doing a little bit of storytelling with the music. You can hear the sound effects whenever the arms are moving or touching. And here. I also noticed that around here, the arms, specifically this top arm, but you know, all of them too, they touch, but they also do this cool kind of whipping or shaking. And I felt like, especially for the vibe of this track, I wanted to do something that was very trance-like, that still maintained a little bit of the character that came from some of the jazzy production in the soundtrack before. A shaker. Isn't that fucking cool? And it comes back into play again too, just to kind of mark certain transitions in the music and then also transitions in visuals. So this is where the bodies start to melt. So we're gonna add the shaker there. And then we add the shakers back. Around here, we also have this flute. And that's more or less just to kind of begin the top of the scene, right? The frame is set, and then we also got this to be like, okay, there's some movement in the arm, and then also it kind of plants our attention right on this. And this comes in again too as a storytelling device with the little kid, you know. We're also trying to see what his facial expressions are like. Oh, we also have some of these other sound effects here. Again, kind of marking some visual transitions. We have the bodies, like they started to melt, but now they're all starting to melt into each other. And that's all the little like effects and stuff. Again, kind of going back to the idea of wanting to create some sort of a trance with it being like a meditation scene. And I think a bass does a good job of setting the tone of a song, sets a mood, it sets a vibe, and it also can be very trance-like. And on top of that, we also have this little organ sound. You know, it was recorded in the 70s. Music is recorded on tape, and there's a bit of character that comes from music that's recorded on tape. The slight distortion, a little bit of fuzziness, sometimes some machine whirring in the background, buzzing. Things are kind of like warped or a little bit out of tune. It's like a jazzy kind of chord, but there's some fuzziness and there's some warping kind of going on, and that worked well for this kind of vibe here. Same thing goes for. It's very spacey. It's almost like kind of like a bell, but it's basically just mimicking these chords right here. They're following the shape and outline of this chord here. Another melodic element we got here is some strings. I like this one because, again, with it having like this wide kind of reverby sound, and then also the kind of, it's kind of warped. You know me, I have to have a little bit of rhythm in whatever I'm making. And the reason why I made this beat the way that I did was, number one, it's in 6/8, so I had to do something that kind of fits that rhythm. But also, if you notice, the arms come back. The kick hits right when that arm touches. Arm, 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 arm. It's just some percussion. Again, to make things just kind of spacey, and then all of that together